You just literally said the whole purpose is to entertain people, to be fun.
Well, maybe that's why you go to the movies.
No, but that wasn't the question.
Welcome everyone to the League of Cinephiles. I'm your host for today, Hunter Friesen. With me as well is Tristan French. Tristan, we've been on vacation together almost. We're back here hosting. We're back to business. It's great.
It's great to be back. I haven't been on here for a while, so I'm really excited to host this.
Yeah. And today, there's a little something special. We're taking a break from trivia. We're here with the Cinema Wars matchup with one of the most interesting and widespread prompts that we've really had in a while. Who is the best actor to not have an Oscar? I mean, it's one of those, just hearing that question already kind of has my head spinning with all the endless possibilities.
There's so many answers that you could come up with here, and I'm really interested to see how our competitors today take this question and see how they run with it.
Filling this match today is one of the most undisputed champs. I mean, we've seen him in this competition so many times before because he wins it all the time. It's on YOLO here with a 4-match streak, but it won't be easy for him to just take it away today because we have two past champions in Jacob Cunningham and Nikita in here as well. So this is like the best of the best fighting out today.
Yeah, this is definitely the hardest match on YOLO is facing in a long time, and it's going to be interesting to see all of these champions clash today.
First off is, of course, the man we started off our introduction with, the 4-match streak, just undisputed champion at this point on YOLO.
Hey guys, how you doing?
How's it going?
We're doing great.
Excited for this match today. I think it's going to be a good one. I have some good competitors coming in.
Jacob Cunningham will be your first opponent today.
How we doing, boys?
Great.
Really good.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to be back in Cinema Wars, taking a break from trivia, which hasn't gone so great for me this season. But I'd like to think I'm a bit of trouble in this division. And YOLO sitting across from me is the only person to date to defeat me in Cinema Wars, and it was by that much. So
let's see what the final opponent has to say, though. Nikita, the chef himself, is here.
Hey guys, been ages, I don't know, months, maybe a year since I've competed in anything.
Yeah.
So happy to be back.
Y'all seem so confident in yourselves here, so let's bring up the rules though, so we make sure that everyone knows. There'll be 3 rounds. We got an opening statement, rebuttal round, and then the closing statement. There'll be a sim-related prompt, which we all explained, which competitors must find an answer for. The unwieldy answer, and a wheel will be spun to determine who will pick their answer first. Competitors will argue on behalf of their answer and will debate against the other ones. The 3 judges will grade each competitor out of 5 points for their opening and closing rounds and 10 points for rebuttal round. And of course, the competitor with the most points at the end of the match will be declared the winner. All right.
Who Spin Again's going to pick?
That's true. Yeah, the Wheel of Truth from round 3 of trivia is now here in its new form for Cinema Wars. Let's see what it decides. Is actually the wheel of a decision here. And it goes with Unyolo. So, Unyolo, you are leading off your opening arguments here. So, we'll just back out of here and let the show go.
I wanted to be first because I think this question has one easy answer, and that's William Dafoe. Even if you're talking about having won an Oscar, not having won an Oscar, William Dafoe is always going to be on top of the list of anyone as best actors to ever live. It doesn't matter if he's working today, nothing. I'm talking in the history of cinema, William Dafoe is one of the best actors that you will ever find. He can transform into any character. He can make you believe anything that he's playing. And recently he's been going into roles that we wouldn't expect it, and he's still killing it. So William Dafoe is by far the best actor today. And it's just incredible that he's not won an Oscar. He had 4 nominations, but he never won one, and it's really weird how this happened. So that is my pick.
So it's only 50-50. No spin again, unfortunately.
Oh, Christ almighty.
I'm going with Jake Gyllenhaal for my pick for the best actor without an Oscar. And honestly, for my whole argument, I could just hold up this and be done with it, this goddamn Blu-ray of Nightcrawler, because that is pretty much universally agreed as one of the greatest performances to not even get a nomination, let alone win. But I think the thing with Gyllenhaal is that he doesn't get enough credit for the prolific run he went on in the 2010s. And he was in probably for 5 or 6 years in a row films that were not only nomination worthy, not only only great performances, but like so many win-worthy performances. Like Prisoners didn't get a nomination. He put such a unique spin on the detective archetype, and he created depth to the character that wasn't there on the page. Like, does anyone remember Jared Leto's performance that won that year? No. Like Nightcrawler 2014. Does anyone talk about Eddie Redmayne's performance from that year? What Jake Gyllenhaal does in that film is terrifying, and it is still talked about today, unlike any of his counterparts in the category. And that is a consistent thread with his roles.
So I'm going with Johnny Depp. There have been many options, but I think Johnny Depp is someone you would always think as like, wow, this guy knows how to transform himself for a role. The guy has tremendous range. He has, of course, 3 nominations, but the main thing everyone knows him for is that he can adapt to any character, whether it's a serious movie, whether it's a thriller, whether it's a comedy, whether it's a kid's movie, or even an animation film. He can embrace it. He can dive into the character and give his whole dramatic performance for it. And actually, unlike, let's say, Willem Dafoe, he can actually be the lead of the role. Like, you toss the movie, Johnny Depp's on the poster, and he can take it forward. So he combines that star power and at the same time charisma, ability to act, and people genuinely like him.
3 interesting answers here. 3 great opening arguments. So the judges will now convene behind locked doors and tabulate the scores here. We'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, interesting picks. I mean, all of these are super well-known actors. But yeah, you've got with Nikita's pick Johnny Depp, you have an A-lister. And then, of course, Willem Dafoe, who's done a lot of really interesting art house stuff in recent years. And then Jake Gyllenhaal, who kind of toggles the line between both. So it's a really interesting crop of actors here.
Yeah, so let's see what position they'll be in with their scores. So here they are. Boom. All right. Saniolo, 12.2. Jacob, 13.3. And Nikita, 12.2. So we have a leader with 2 people tied for second place behind them. So let's let those scores adjust based on the rebuttal round. We'll back out.
Okay, so just going at what Nikita said about Willem Dafoe not being a leading man, I think that just shows the level of talent this man has. When we watch a movie, even if he's like a supporting character, is the performance that we usually remember, is the one that pulls everyone in, that everyone talks about, because he might not have that face of being a leading man, but he has the talent there. And in movies like Florida Project, you hardly remember anything else, even with those really talented kids. He goes in very little, and you remember that performance. And like, if we talk about Johnny Depp might be the best guy out there to like do weird roles. But when he has to play something that requires a little bit more of a restraint, it's hard to see anyone else than being Johnny Depp. And Jake, there's not really a lot we can say. He's an amazing actor. But again, you talked about one movie that is the movie that everyone remembers. When we talk about his performances, Nightcrawler is the one that everyone remembers. And everything else comes really below the line. So if we were talking about the best actor having one movie, what is the best movie? I would probably agree with you. But Willem Dafoe, no matter how shitty the movies are, he always performs, he always gives something unique and that people remember.
I think we could say a bit that all these guys are pretty unique. And with Gyllenhaal, I didn't just bring up one movie. I brought up several and just talked about his whole run in the 2010s. And I think it's the stuff that people don't remember that, one, make him a great actor and a diverse actor. And also it's the stuff that make him the best actor without an Oscar. It's the stuff that doesn't get recognized. And I think he's kind of fallen by the wayside. When I was looking at people's lists of actors without Oscars, people barely even brought up Gyllenhaal. And there's just so many gems in that 2010s period that people don't talk about, like Stronger, a film that didn't get much awards attention. He's absolutely heartbreaking in it. And it's a character study on PTSD. He came on the scene with Donnie Darko back in the day. That is like an iconic pre-Ryan Gosling, literally me type role that a generation of us film lovers grew up with. Dafoe, I love the guy. I totally agree that he needs an Oscar. He probably should have won one for The Lighthouse. But I guess the one thing for me with Dafoe is that he's never really hit me on that emotional level. He's got so much range. He can play so many terrifying and unique and scary characters. He probably looks more like a goblin than any other actor in the world. And he has used that so brilliantly in so many different roles. But I think aside from maybe Platoon, he's never really done anything that's I don't know, made me feel depth. He's such an entertaining and physical and brilliant actor to watch, but I guess I've always just kind of thought of him as that creature guy or that scary guy. And I guess Johnny Depp, I feel, isn't even in really the same league as these guys. I think you talked about he, like, you know, plays these iconic characters in lead roles, but I think Gyllenhaal and even Dafoe, I'd argue, could do more with 20 minutes of screen time than what Depp can do with 2 hours of screen time. His performances are often quite one note, quite drawing way too much attention to themselves.
The last thing you can classify Depp as a one-trick pony, because as I mentioned, he's done so many diverse roles. First for Angiolo, there's been Public Enemies, Black Mass, Minamata, Donnie Brasco. All of these are serious films or serious roles without a single gram of, you know, flamboyancy or, let's say, Edward Scissorhands or Charlie Chocolate Factory kind of roles. And going back to this, he is unlike both of your picks. For example, William Dafoe, and I mentioned that he cannot, let's say, lead a movie. Yes, he's excellent in small packages, but that's, let's say, a football player who can sprint for 10 minutes, but he cannot play an entire game. So what does that make him?
Yeah,
Yes,
but it's that player that's winning the games. It doesn't matter.
He's excellent to watch. He's excellent to watch, but he's never going to be the best player in the team because he's that for short term. And Johnny Depp can carry films. He can carry franchises. I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean exists because of Johnny Depp. You know, if he quits, the franchise ends, and that's it. And for serious films that I mentioned, he can play in kids' movies. He can play Edward Scissorhands, Charlie Chocolate Factory. He can put on compelling, interesting performances that might not click, that might not be great. But if you tell these three actors portray, let's say, an X number of roles, Johnny Depp is likely to nail them all because he has so much range. Yes, Jake is a fantastic actor. He was in my top 3 as well, to be picked as well. But at the same time, the man doesn't create these emotional roles, what you brought up for William Dafoe. You know, there aren't many moments where yes, he's angry. He plays anger extremely well, but he never has this, you know, connection that you feel towards the character, you know.
I think Jacob said it better. I think Jacob said it better before. There's a lot of lists of people putting it out there, and Jake is not on any of them because he's not someone people remember as giving that performance that blew them away, that got him in tears, that got him yes, he has some really great performances, but he's not like someone that is remembered, and that's why you said it. You looked at a lot of lists and no one is picking him. You can say he's light because he's not been on big movies. He's been on Spider-Man. He's been on all this. But even on Spider-Man, you don't talk about Mysterio the same way you talk about the Green Goblin. William Dafoe, whatever he's in, he just knocks it out of the park. And just Johnny Depp, like you said before, Black Mask and all this, he plays kind of the same character. That's the thing. Or he plays over the top this really big character. Player.
Black Mass is a gangster. Minamata, plays a photographer in the public.
It's that kind of he doesn't know. He doesn't know to play these restrained characters. He always plays them in the same way. When he's playing Pirates of the Caribbean or Edward Scissorhands, that's where you feel that he's at home. You look at him and he feels natural. Everything that he does is perfection. When you're doing this, I feel he's struggling. He's not being able to bring out all his talent because he doesn't feel. It's I would even say, for example, if we're talking about people that do comedy and weird parts, Jim Carrey would even be a better pick than him because Jim Carrey, when he does drama and comedy, he still feels natural. William Dafoe, whatever he plays, he can be a real person, he can be someone fiction. You just feel his talent and you just can't take your eyes out of him, whatever it is. Even that
but these are only
movie,
small roles, man. But these ones, as I said, my previous argument.
But that's but I think that's even more. I think that gives him even more talent because in a very small role.
How is he more talented? He's extremely talented. It's not easy.
It's not easy. If we look at Heath Ledger, he was very little on that Batman movie that won an Oscar because he is so goddamn good in the little time that he has on screen.
How was he little time? He was the second most screen time in the film.
No, he has very little time compared with a lot of the actors that were competing. And that's the thing. It's not about the time you have. You might walk in, have one scene in the movie, and completely steal that movie away. And that's what William Dafoe can do that none of the other ones can.
I just want to say, I think all this lack of recognition for Gyllenhaal at this point is some sort of coordinated effort from Taylor Swift fans to minimize his impact on the world. So I reject that. But I guess, Nikita, you said that he hasn't done the emotional impact. He just does the yelling. I totally disagree. Brokeback Mountain, his one Oscar nomination, is such a tender, beautiful film about human connection. Again, strong as a story of PTSD. In Wildlife, he plays a supporting role in Wildlife opposite Carey Mulligan, and he's just this deadbeat dad, and he's so compelling in that film. And I think he has the range that these guys don't. And like you said with Depp, he's great at playing certain kinds of characters, but he's more of an entertainer than an actor. He's a performer, which is great, and he's very good at it sometimes. But he's also got, like, for every Edward Scissorhands, you've got like a Mordecai or something incredibly corny that just
but
like
acting is performance,
forever.
It's entertainment. People go to the cinema, to the theater, to whatever to be entertained. You just literally said the whole purpose is to entertain people, to be fun.
Well, maybe that's why you go to the movies.
No, but that wasn't the question. The question was, what is the best actor? And not the most entertainment.
And is he a bad actor? Is he a bad actor? He's an excellent actor. And you're saying, let's say, if
is he the best? That is the question. Not is he a good actor? He is a great actor. Is he the best? He's not the best. That goes against the question. That's it. Like if you have to make a movie and you have all these actors available, I'm sure, Nikita, you wouldn't pick him if they said, "Look, here's a budget. Here's a budget.
You're going to make money. He's a household name. No one's going to watch a movie because Willem Dafoe is there. People are going to watch a movie because Johnny Depp is in the movie.
Depends. Do you want to make a movie that, like, we're talking again, best actor? So we're talking about a movie that's going to win awards. Let's say you want to make a movie that's going to get awards. That is like the question that was made. It's not my opinion. The question that was made is, who's the best actor? So you put him against Willem Dafoe, he's going to get completely destroyed. You put Jake against Willem Dafoe, and there's very few actors in the world that can like hold their own. And I think
I don't think Dafoe is
a great actor. But when you talk about Brokeback Mountain, we always think about Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger steals that movie away from everyone. And that's the thing. When Jake is against
Why does Heath Ledger steal it? Because Jake is supporting him brilliantly. Why are we moved by Heath Ledger? Because of what Jake Gyllenhaal did and the loss we feel from what he gave us.
But he always gets lost. On the other side, we have a William Dafoe that does the same thing. He even helps like actors that are not that good, like give great performances. Jake, when he's against great actors, he kind of gets lost into it.
I don't think Dafoe's like this infallible genius where every single film he does is a work of art. You know, he's very prolific, but for every like The Lighthouse, we'll just get some like random thing dead for $1 where he's clearly just phoning it in for the paycheck. I would just say that Gyllenhaal chooses his roles so carefully, and he works so, like the physical transformations is an underrated aspect of him, like going to Southpaw from Nightcrawler back to back, and the lack of recognition completely has changed his ethos and approach to acting. But I would argue that his post 2018 career is just as interesting and just as brilliant in a different way. Say something like Ambulance. I think no actor in the last 10 years or so has attuned to what Michael Bay is doing better than what Gyllenhaal did in that movie. He brings a tragedy to it. He brings an intensity to it. Like, you don't know how to feel about this character.
All right, Tristan, and we're back after a lengthy and a heated rebuttal round there. So many arguments from each side, defenses, attacks, everything. So it was quite something to behold.
Yeah, that was very impassioned. I enjoyed watching that.
Yeah, at the very least, I hope the agents of all these actors are listening in on this and using it for their next roles to feel into it. Not that Willem Dafoe and Jake Gyllenhaal and Johnny Depp are, maybe Johnny Depp a little bit, struggling to get roles now. Let's see, though, what the scores say about it. All right, so Agnolo and 38.9, Jacob 40, Nikita 35.3. So a bit of we've moved a little bit more diverse in these scores here. So let's see where they end off for their final round, the closing round. Let's start it off here. 1 minute each.
Depp has diversity, has range, and let's say he plays a lot of different characters, whether it's It's the kids' movies. It's the adult mature drama, and he does embrace. Yes, and Yolo, you said that he does not feel comfortable in the dramatic roles. Maybe you haven't seen the dramatic roles that I have seen for him to feel this way. And bringing back to William Dafoe, as I said, yes, he's an excellent actor, but maybe if he would run a whole movie on his back, maybe it would not work out this way, and maybe he would show cracks in his repertoire. And for Jake, as I said, I'd like to see a bit more, marketable, emotional roles that I can connect with,
On Yolo.
Okay. He was always an easy pick. William Dafoe, like the man has made so many movies, so many iconic roles, even in movies that you would forget. Johnny Depp, like we talked before, is very good at doing one thing. That's what he's known for. You want a weird guy, you get him. And like Jake, there's no way to go around saying he's not talented. But I still feel that he still has a lot of gaps in his acting skills. He still has something that needs to connect with people. There's something there that connects when he goes over the board, when he goes to the big roles that he can scream and he can show the emotion. But when it's quieter, when it's like a smaller role, he can't do this. And my actor can do everything from the big parts to the small ones. He can make everyone remember his performances.
The biggest thing about Jake for me is that he is an actor who is totally committed to the craft. He doesn't take on Oscar bait roles. He is totally himself, totally different every time. He could have easily come on the scene in the early 2010s and coasted by on his good looks and starred exclusively in rom-coms and blockbusters. But instead he turns around and plays a horrific sociopath and then a giant boxer. And his range is not just limited to different kinds of roles. He can play the same types of roles in different ways. Say Source Code and Jarhead, he plays a soldier in totally different ways, a confused and scared versus like a bit of a beefhead and a war machine. He can play a psychopath in two different ways, the laughing clown in Okja versus the dead-eyed freak in Nightcrawler. I think Johnny Depp just, again, doesn't have that emotional range, and he's got stuff like Yoga Hoses, which are actively among some of the worst performances I've ever seen, whereas these other two guys, you're not going to see too many bad performances. And I'd say I've been bringing up specific movies this whole time, whereas the other two have kind of just been saying he's the best because he's the best.
And that concludes the closing round here and the match itself. Tristan, you got any final thoughts here before we reveal the big winner?
That was a great match. Such a great prompt, and I think all three competitors, really ran with it and picked some great actors, and it was really fun to watch. So I'm excited to see who wins this.
Yeah, the competitors and the answers really lived up to the prompt's potential there in terms of what we got, what we expected, and just all the stuff we didn't expect in terms of arguments for and against these actors. So it was really great to watch. But only one of these competitors can walk away really that happy. So without further ado, I'll announce the winner. And your winner is Jacob the Package Cunningham.
It's a lot of fun, and I think I have to say now that it is my domain. I love trivia, but I think I might love Cinema Wars even more because I think I'm in the conversation with Unyolo is like the best to ever do it because he's the only person to ever get me. But not enough of my arrogant ranting. It was an honor to play these guys, especially like Unyolo. You really had me sweating there. Willem Dafoe, I love that dude. I really had to dig deep to think of some arguments against him because I totally agree with everything you said. He should have won an Oscar for The Lighthouse. But, Jake Gyllenhaal's my boy. He's a guy I grew up with. He's a guy who was a part of every step of my film lover journey. And, yeah, this was some bullshit. He should have won an Oscar for this film. And great to get some more points on the board for the 5 Angry Men because we've been doing it tough this season. Shout out to my boy Gal.
I don't want to rub it in. You're at a 4-match streak ends here today.
Yeah, I think it's good that this happens because, like, as you know, Hunter, you've been there. You start getting a little bit like bored. You don't try as hard, and I think Jacob fully deserved today. I think like picking someone that I thought it was so obvious maybe worked against me because I just thought I didn't even have to explain. Like, it's William Dafoe. Come on. I felt like going in every round it's William Dafoe, guys. That's it. I'm not going to say anything. I was happy for Jacob to win until I found out now that he was on Gal's team. That makes me sad. Like, that's the worst thing out of this. I'm going to be after him for the next match, and I'm going to have more fire in me because now I'm not champion anymore.
I love both of these actors. And it's so difficult to actually come up with like arguments against them, because like I don't believe in what I'm saying most of the time, because shit, I mean, okay, he does quick rolls, but I mean, they're amazing quick rolls, so why would I not love it? And same thing for Jake Gyllenhaal. He has excellent movies on both Aniolo and Jacob had great arguments, and it was a pleasure as always to compete. And yeah, I wish I could do it more frequently.
It was a fantastic match, and I think now that you have a new champion in Cinema Wars, a lot of people are going to be coming after Jacob, and we're going to see Cinema Wars really pick up in a way that hasn't in a while. So I'm really excited to see what people bring to it, because, you know, with the tournament going on in trivia, people have been really focusing on that. But Cinema Wars is a great competition, and you have a lot of really great competitors right now. So it's making me want to step back into the ring and take Jacob on. So it's been really fun to watch. And I'm excited to see what happens with the next Cinema Wars match.
That'll do it for us here today. Jacob the Cunning Package Cunningham comes into the match beating 4-match streak champion Aniolo. Jacob representing the 5 Angry Men. So, like that video, subscribe for more movie related content, hit the bell notification. Ciao.